From this week's video and lecture, something I found surprising is that when learning about Karl Marx and just his whole story and influence, which I'll go over quickly, I found it surprising that he had so much influence on different societies as a whole. So to start, I just want to talk about how in the years of 1843 to 1845, he made two relationships that supposedly changed the course of his life. One being with his wife, Jenny Vaughan. They had a happy marriage and had 7 children, which therefore kind of fulfilled his life in that aspect. And then also Frederick Engels, who he bonded with intellectually, allowed Marx to open his eyes to new ideas and new approaches. And they both laid out their concept of socialism in their famous work called The Communist Manifesto. And then in these writings, they were able to champion the worker, and they advocated for a society that was classless, and therefore people kind of just had to work hard for what they would want rather than having specific classes and roles in society and rankings. And then this kind of influenced his transition from being a philosopher and an economist into being revolutionary and being an activist in the world. And then during turns of events in history, he was eventually exiled to London, where he was able to take a job as a European correspondent to the New York Tribune. And therefore, since he now was writing for an American audience, which was different than before, he had to kind of shift his focus over to American issues and prevalent things. For example, the crisis over slavery, the Civil War, and the abolitionist movement. And with this, he was able to kind of fight against capitalism. And then his ideas became so popular that they were adopted by different countries and implemented into their systems of government, which I just find it very cool that his just one person could expand so much in society and just create literally a different way of government and a way of living for so many people around the world. And then going into this, something that I found interesting was the concept of alienation that was described in the lecture, and how Marx stated that part of what makes us human is our ability to creatively manipulate and produce our surroundings. And therefore, it said in the lecture that our humanity is reflected back to us in the things that we produce. An example of this could be the feeling of you being happy or satisfied after you baked some bread or built a house, or just things that you intentionally and on your own created and builded. And then it says that we become alienated due to lusting after commodities that we don't own and have nothing to do with our labor. And this kind of allowed me to relate to our current day society and the fact that this is not how we live.